We've got the first production meeting today for Bon Jovi.
Welcome everybody to Tait Towers.
We're having to invent some stuff to make this happen. The columns that are coming from the air, the columns that are coming from the ground, to make them telescope at this speed, come in and come out, it's tough.
Oh, that's not good, the way it wiggles like that.
Oh, I don't like it.
I don't like that wiggly bit. It's a prototype.
You know, you can calculate a lot of stuff, engineer a lot of stuff, but you still got to build a prototype in order to get the right feel for it.
The hexagons that we're building are going to be video mapped upon.
First thing you have to do is align your projectors to the thing and find your focus. So one of the challenges, we have things in multiple planes.
Everyone was very confident that they could focus multiple projectors on one plane. Nobody had taken into account the fact that we had 4 different planes.
Is our current paradigm really the right way to do it?
Spike, as the designer, made a compromise on his design.
The show has gone from having 2 rows of moving lights to no moving lights that just now sit right on top of each other.
We're going to discuss the fact that all the hexes are going to change. In the span of 25 minutes, we had kind of redesigned the show.
It was a pretty good reality check of the amount of work that we have left to do.
At the way things are going, there's not going to be a lot of Christmas and New Year's around here. It's going to be work, work, work.
Tait Towers started here in America in about 1979. It was a lighting company at first, and it kind of morphed into a staging company, but it grew exponentially.
Tait Towers has always represented the best in the business.
What we're building either enables the show to happen or not. We thrive on complications.
25 years ago, musicians were making money selling records. And now they're making money selling seats. And that's why we're making stage sets.
Like any organization, we have our moments, we have our drama.
It's full on because there's a deadline that we're up against all the time. There's no showing up a day late.
In this business, you're only as good as your last show.
Since the design of the show changed yesterday, and we're kind of waiting on confirmation on that, and then our internal designs are just not being released. None of the individual components went away, but just placement of them and counts shifted. Basically, there's all the lifting hexagons off the ground. Their arrangement changed, but since their arrangement changed, it pushed some other stuff left and right. Made some things grow, made some things shrink.
It's a design that's evolved over a long time. There was a lot of hurdles to get to a final agreement on this design, and so now we're faced with the horrible situation of having to build the entire show far more quickly than we would like to be able to build the show. I think we have 3 weeks or something until we load in, and we should have 3 months, in all fairness. And everybody knows that. Inevitably, when you hear somebody say that they're late, which you will hear, just hear now that we were not late. They were late.
Didn't like that. It's struggling. We left yesterday with a series of changes that we knew were going to take place. We were developing those this morning. The projection team called earlier today and we're like, well, what if we rearrange the whole stage area for how much of an impact does that have? So for the last couple hours, we've been going back and forth with them about exactly what that does for them and what that does to our arrangement of equipment and how much impact that has on where we are already in fabrication. It reduces a lot of their projection issues and the way they need to get all these various images aligned and looking good on all these different surfaces that were presented in yesterday's design that are being changed around for today's design.
Is this the new layout? Is this
No,
this
it's
afternoon's
not.
layout? Do we
It's
have
not.
this afternoon's layout yet?
Yes, it got changed once more after I sketched it. I'm trying to get that layout for those guys. Is that something that's Spike drew, or?
This is what I've drawn since I've had 2 or 3 other conversations with Spike.
Oh.
And his latest one I just had with him, which is, hey, what if we move these out to the back wall so he gets his little up and down lights in the way back before, but takes the skins off them. But aren't they then zip lips?
Pretty much.
And then
They're just glorified zip lifts.
we have 9 zip lifts. Do we just build 5 more?
Yeah. I don't know what the point of that is. Now we're just creating a plane.
Which is, again, what he's being pressured on this side is to get rid of all these multiple plane issues. So
what would be the deal then with the 3 layers of walkable in the center?
These 2 would stay.
Okay.
All the reds.
All the reds
would go out, and we,
You don't think he would want to keep these here, so we have a cluster in the center?
Well, no, we still have a cluster because we got 3 under here. So this is the overheading flown.
Sure.
Red gap, red gap, red gap, red gap.
Yeah, red
goes back here.
Back there. So
there's just this line, and these 2. So he's got.
Can I make a copy of this?
Absolutely. Well, and I wanted to interrupt Adam and chat with him about it. Or?
Why don't we just do it with this end? Because that's that's why I wanted it.
Here.
Let's do it.
One thought here is you'd make gates and you can hinge them, so they just hinge open, you get the stuff out, and then you can hinge them back in.
Check this out. This is very interesting. What? So what we had here as far as the cluster upstage that had lights, version 1, version 2 was spread out. Now he wants those to go against the back wall, take the shrouds off, and essentially use them like zip lifts. So spread them out back here.
No shrouds.
No shrouds. So the only thing we would actually have would be the green, 1 upstage, 1 downstage of that. And that's it.
Just in. They kept the worst one. Plan 12.
Yeah.
The show's going to open whether we like it or not. I mean, the date is the date. Tickets have gone on sale long before we had this contract, so we can be late to rehearsal, we can't be late for a show.
Check this out. This is very interesting. Now he wants those to go against the back wall, take the shrouds off, and essentially use them like zip lifts. So the only thing we would actually have would be the green, 1 upstage, 1 downstage of that. And that's it.
Just in. They kept the worst one. Plan 12.
Yeah. The compromise that Spike made in the design was really that you had a row of hexagons upstage that had lights on them that could get a great shot downstage or into the audience. And then downstage of that, you had a set of walkable hexagons that John could walk up, and you had that sort of light area as the buffer. So he wasn't necessarily walking directly on the edge as he was traversing them. But now, since we've gotten essentially rid of them, he essentially is walking on the edge of the stage. We don't have handrail in these things. It's not something that's desirable by him or Spike. And so he's essentially broken his concept of these sort of stepped hexagonal boxes and lifts up, and he's now sort of minimized actually what he has on stage. And it's become more simple. From a design standpoint, I think you will be able to achieve less in terms of variation in looks. From an overall perspective, the thing that was important to him was the projection surface and making sure that we could get that right every day.
The gag in this show is going to be the content. It's going to be a lot of money spent on boggling the minds of people with the film. Really, on a show like this, the things that we integrate the most with is video. So the things that we're building are being projected upon, the things are being hung from the ceiling, so the riggers and the video guys are here.
Does that make more sense for us to converge it with the projector, or to have both projectors pointing straight out and for us to try to do the convergence in here? We're actually seeing a column move for the first time while projecting onto it, and we're going to do a motion study, watching to see if the movies that they've made with their predicted column positions are going to match up. The columns don't move in a linear fashion. They speed up and they slow down. The content people have to make their stuff react the same way. For the front surface, there is a total of 10 projectors currently right now. We have a double stack, basically, so for each 4 columns is a double stack of 40Ks. which I believe are the biggest projectors made right now. So we are the first ones to test them out.
Video department's gonna have a big job. There's 16, 20, I don't know, 23, 24 projectors on the show that they have to get loaded in, get teched out, make sure all of their mapping and all their computer signal issues are resolved, before doors. So it's a very big video show.
This is actually what the stage looks like. So we're just doing one column here. So what you're seeing over there is only essentially one of these columns. And so what we're doing right now is physically aligning and telling them the system where the projector really is in real life. We're doing one column out of 40. We're just doing one of the floor columns. It's one thing to sit there and see it in a computer. It's another thing to see in real life if the light of the room is going to light up the column, we're going to be able to get away with, fooling people that the column's not there when we're not projecting on it. There's tricks like that, or if we throw this many pixels at this surface, is it going to really still look convincing, or is it going to start looking like computer graphics, right? So the whole idea is you want to fool the audience into the illusion. So if we make it look like there's a bunch of city and a bunch of buildings there, we really want to fool them into thinking, where did that come from? Versus if they can see it all moving in the background. I mean, a lot of you have been on Space Mountain before. Okay, you can see the tracks in front of you, kind of breaks the illusion. So the more we can hide the tracks, so to speak, would be my analogy, would be what we're trying to do.
To add to the stress, I have 2 days left for the rest of the year and I'm leaving. I'm gonna be out of touch, no cell phone, no email. For me, it's really important to hand off all of my shows and all of my contacts and let my clients know that may have active projects going on. Hey, I'm gonna be gone, I'm not gonna be available. So there's a couple projects that are happening now that I won't see the finish of. So, just making sure that I'm feeling comfortable walking away.
I've given Brian very specific instructions, which are don't bring a cell phone, don't get online, just check out for a little while, because you don't get that many opportunities to do that in this business.
But as Adam would say, I won't be doing my job right if I can't just walk away and let somebody else handle it, so.
He's gonna go get married and have a honeymoon. He's gonna miss the shit out of me.
He's convinced I'm gonna come back and immediately
give me a hug. He's gonna hug me. I've just been trapped in a bathroom with a female. He's just amazed some chick will marry him.
I'm not gonna argue. Did you expect me to argue?
We wound up having to make a bunch of decisions after the holidays. So we were hoping those decisions would have all been reached before the holidays. Between Christmas and New Year's, many of the shops that are involved in all these different processes either aren't open at all, or if they are open, they're at reduced capacity because their staffs have vacations and all those things that come at the end of the year.
We had a layout, an assembly layout, and we had it broken down into individual departments for like the lift into like 8 different production assembly stations. The first station would be the telescopic mast, which for all the units, for all the lift units, it's 1,200 pieces of 1x2 steel laser cut.
Those parts got made incorrectly. So to the tune of 900 of the 1,200 parts were made incorrectly.
Either the tubes were twisted or the machine was not indicated properly. So all of those parts are no good. So obviously you can see how that's going to back up our even the start of the assembly process.
That's all it takes is one part. So we're having to get 900 of them remade.
Here at Tait Towers, it's a revolving thing where somebody is always the limiting factor. Sometimes it's design, and then they get beefed up. After that, once design is able to pump out all these parts, after they staff up, then it's the next thing down the line, which would be the machine shop or purchasing. So currently, machine shop is one of our log jams.
That specifically is a Bon Jovi telescopic mast we'll be doing for the upstage projection screens. It's a specific lift which is supposed to be packed in 90 inches height, and it needs to extend 30 feet in the air. It's pretty demanding. So if we look at this guy here, this pulley here, okay, so this is already finished design, what we call kit, because we're building this thing. Right now, we have everything designed in AutoCAD. We're gonna publish this thing into the system.
I would come in and open it up so I can get a look at it.
This is in AutoCAD. Now it's time actually to switch in the feature cam, which is the cam software.
This is what's going to generate the code for the machine. This is a pretty simple part compared to a lot of the things that we do.
Hey, don't say that. It's pretty complex, man. Come on, look at that.
This is a very complicated part.
There you go, that's better. Nothing simple, man.
It makes it look easy, but it's very complicated. Then we just put it on a disc, take it to the machine, load it in.
Maybe he's going to control the production down, how the parts going to be, you know, distributed, who's going to make them, are we going to outsource them, are we going to make them in-house?
The way that Matt has this part programmed, he's basically chamfering all the edges on the machine. He's doing a lot of the finish work on the machine. So when this part comes off, it's basically going to be a finished part. No one's going to have to touch it.
Found out we are having some challenges with our electronics department and getting some componentry out of Europe and to us, having exhausted the North American supply of some of these parts. Unfortunately, when you're bringing stuff in, it adds customs and other things, so it's a little more difficult to predict exact delivery schedules.
Well, they've actually increased our workload tremendously with the amount of winches that we have to control in the air. 46 drives are being transformed from an existing product to something new, making it smarter. We're building 25 brand new drives to control other winches that do the hexes. From the ground up, they're actually being outsourced right now, 25 of those units. And for all of the ground support, the lifting and the lifting hexes and the walking hexes, we're taking existing products and we're making them smarter as well. So there's 36 of those units.
We're going through the perfect storm scenario, needing so many parts at one time, and all of it, we have choke points. We have our outsourcing, purchasing, and our own machine shop, and trying to feed outside vendors. So it's a perfect storm of trying to get ourselves parts right now. It's very frustrating, but we're going to do what we got to do.
We're right on schedule.
We're right on schedule.
We'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, we've had our setbacks for the week, but we've been able to react pretty quickly. Our response time has been as fast as it can be on mistakes so far, so that's a good sign, but it's still going to be a push. We're at 5 days out and got a long way to go.
I think it's a question of how hard are we going to have to work to make sure that it's there.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
We have all the manpower we can use in-house right now. We're just limited by the parts that we have.
Well, like the 900 parts that came in wrong, right? And they're wrong. There's nothing we can do about it now. So it's not worth stressing about why they are wrong or how it will set us back. It's better to think positively about how can we fix this. Right now we're running double shift. Maybe we'll switch to triple. It's something that we've done in the past before. Anything to do to just keep parts moving 24/7.
I think it's 90, we're making 90 machines. There's a winch with a cable reel, and a tower. Those are the three basic building blocks to this show. We're thinking our output is 9 per day of the hex lifts, and the towers, we're expecting to put 6 of those out per day. We're on track to be able to meet their deadline.
Tensions are high right now, but
I think tensions are high, but you know, I was just talking with Keith inside. He's actually happy to finally start seeing lots and lots and lots of pieces starting to come in. So now that all this stuff is starting to come in, we're actually starting to see real production pieces. Like, everybody's getting excited while remaining stressed about the deadline, sure,
Right.
but now that stuff is starting to show up, like, everybody's like, all right, great, let's do it.
it's starting to look like something real. And so it brings up energy instead of takes it away. We're here in our Manchester facility. It's a satellite facility about a quarter mile from the main Tait shop. We've got a lot of space here. So in the back here, we've got the Bon Jovi stage fully set up. We're just putting everything together, making sure that we're not missing anything and that the road crew are happy.
Some bands don't like to play in the round just from a performance standpoint. They don't like feeling that there's no place to hide and that you're constantly having to work a room. Those seats are sold as obstructed or behind the stage, and you don't feel like you have to give them as much as you have to give the people out front. Plus, Bon Jovi has a golden circle where there's particular people that are seated, fan club or whoever it is that want those front row seats. It's a revenue stream, and that's a way of not only taking care of your fans, but also generating some cash to pay for us.
This winch has a capacity to travel over 50 feet, and we just don't have that height in the shop. The way that the machine works, we need to see full travel to know that our software is working accurately, so we had to run a big forklift so we could get this thing high enough. This is the first prototype. We're working on a second. All the parts are out for the production run. We need 19 by Friday and the balance of 57 by Monday.
We can't use that word anymore.
Yeah. Prototypes no longer allowed at this shop. These are proposed production models, or PPMs. PPMs, as we like to call it.
We are doing 7 production trucks, and they'll probably be between 12 and 15 by the time the tour is all said and done.
The first show is in the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, and then the second show is in DC. So I won't be surprised if at least I stay for the first loadout to make sure that the way that things are tearing down makes sense, and then travel to DC for the first in. Because that'll be really the first load in under a proper schedule. When we go to Connecticut, we're going 4 days early for the last couple days of rehearsal. So if we get a little behind, it's ultimately not a deal breaker.
We always get the job done, and you know, our gear always stands out in the end.
I am continually blown away by how we can pull shit off. Just when you think there's no hope, we come through.
Our role here is to be the liaison between Tait and the road crew, right? So we're not going to go on tour with this, hopefully. And the plan is that at rehearsals, we've had our head into it. We've been building all these machines, all the staging, you know, this whole time. And so we're going to make sure that the road crew feels comfortable with it and knows everything they need to know to take this out and make it their own over the duration of the tour. So our job is to make sure that they feel good and that they can take it on their own. If they need us to go to the first few legs of the show with them, then we've essentially failed.